Let's take a look at minor project 2. This project asks you to select one valid and reliable instrument and take a look at how this instrument was developed from a theoretical perspective, why and how the creators developed the instrument, the process they went through to establish validity and reliability, and any threats to internal validity of the proposed instrument. Now, if you think back to minor project 1, you'll recall that we looked at a lot of instruments, and any of those instruments that you used would be fine to use with minor project 2, or you can pick a completely different instrument. That's totally up to you. But we're just going to pick one instrument and take a deeper dive into that instrument. To help you find an instrument, again, you can go to the Regent Library and use some of these words to search as keywords. So construction, development, reliability, and so on. Those would be good keywords for you to find an instrument that is in that development article. Okay, so we're in the Regent Library and we're going to just start looking. So you can put in any type of word you want here, development, validation, because we're looking for specifically an instrument, a quantitative instrument. We should probably go to advanced and look up quantitative. You could use the word instrument. If there's a specific one that you're looking for, we could just put that in here. So maybe we want to look at the Servant Leadership Assessment Index. And then we'll hit search. Okay, now we know that this Servant Leadership Assessment Index was developed by Dennis and Bacarnia. So that's another thing that we can look at here is the author. And we will tell it we're looking for the author. With that, we may have to actually take some of those other keywords off, but let's just take a look. Nope, this is it. So this is the original instrument, the article coming out telling us in 2005 about this new instrument to measure servant leadership. If you look in this instrument or in this article, then you'll see that it talks about who the authors are and how they developed the instrument. So you'll see that they built upon Patterson's servant leadership theory. So this is basically taking servant leadership theory and extending that field of study to now have a quantitative instrument. It tells you here that they're using the constructs of agapeo love, humility, altruism, vision, trust, service, and empowerment. It even goes into the details right here up front to let you know that they use the DeVellis guidelines and scale development to develop this scale. That's a pretty popular scale development tool that they can use. And then as you read through the rest of the paper, it will answer all the questions that you need to answer for minor project 2. All right, so if we take this one step further, I want you to know that minor project 2 is a written report of 3,000 words or less. We want you to include an abstract. It should be APA style. You should look at the headers and footers, have some keywords. You should have a references page. I want you to use your style, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute, and also have a title page. Anytime I go to write a paper, I always pull up the Purdue OWL sample papers for APA style. Right now they have 2. One is for sample or for the 6th edition and one is for the 7th edition. And I still use both because the 6th edition gives you a little more information that the 7th edition does not have right now. But you'll notice this is the 6th edition. It shows you what your title page should look like. With this one, it has a running head. If we click over to the 7th edition, notice that the running head is now gone. You don't have to have that. Also, the title should be in bold, where with the 6th edition, the title was not bolded. And if we go down, you'll see the author note. I'm not as worried about author notes with your papers like minor project 2, but you can include that if you want. And then it also lets you know what should be included with the abstract. So in this case, it should be between 150 and 250 words. If we look at the 7th edition, we see again the title page and then the abstract, and this gives you a good idea of what it should look like. However, it doesn't tell you how many words it should have. And you'll see there with keywords, we also see, let's see, the introduction and so on. So if you compare these two papers side to side, it will just help you to have a more robust paper for minor project 2, but also with your major project in this class. I want you to be able to use this. Now, as far as an example, here we have the MLQ, the Multi-Factor Leadership Questionnaire Instrument, and this is using APA 6th edition. So with this, we could actually just take this running head out now. We don't even need that. We still have the page number up here. So I want you to know, to get familiar with how to actually use the functionality in Word. You'd be surprised how many people don't know how to do this. And once they get to their dissertation phase, you're gonna have to know how to do this. I actually just worked with a student at a different school that did a 200-page dissertation and did not know how to use page numbers. She manually typed in every single page number, manually typed in her table of contents. It's just a lot of pain and extra work if you don't know how to do it right. So now's a great time to learn how to do that. So when you're looking at your page numbers, you can, obviously, here's the page number up here, but to do that, you go into your header and you can simply double click in the header and tell it you want a page number. If you want it on the top of the page, then it gives you these options. So there it is right there. That's your page number. Now with the, you see you have the header here on this page, but it's not on the first page. That's because this button is clicked different first page. And that will give you the chance to not have a header on the first page. With your abstract and so on, we want to use the styles up here. So by using a style, you'll see I can click heading 1. Let me show you what this looks like. If you hit find and headings, some of them already have headings, but I want to show you how to do the rest. So I want this abstract to have a heading. Now you'll see that the heading of abstract pops over here. And this will help you to stay organized. It also helps your paper to stay organized. Sometimes this will show up in a different font. And if it does, you can change it to whatever you want it to. In this case, black font, bold, Times New Roman 12. And then if you right click and say update heading 1 to match selection, that will make it match every time you use this. Now, don't forget to put your keywords in. And then we want to have, maybe we want this to be an introduction here. So we'll just call this an introduction. And again, I want this to be heading 1. And then as far as this paper is concerned, we're talking about the foundations. So you'll notice here the theoretical foundation, that's written as a heading. Then there's subheadings with it. So transformational leadership is a subheading. They do that by clicking on heading 2. Again, if you click on it and it turns out to be a different font or a different color, you can just fix it the way you want it. So I want Times New Roman 12-point font, black ink, bold, and then go up here and right click and tell it to update heading to match the selection. We also want in this paper the development section. So notice the development section here. And again, that's bolded as a heading 1. We'll see this as well with the validity and reliability section. And that should also be a heading 1. And then this assignment also calls for you to look at threats to internal validity. So here we have it. And again, that's a heading 1. If you have a conclusion or some way to wrap up your paper, that can also be a heading 1. And then your reference page should be a heading 1 as well. So there you have it, and you'll have all of your references listed in alphabetical order. And that's what minor project 2 should look like.